Every gadget in this video is legal to own and sitting online right now, and almost none of it feels that way. There's a laser that lights a match from across a room, a $60 dongle that pulls signals out of the air you'd assume were private. And two you can't buy yet, a computer built for hacking that folds down to a playing card, and a tablet with physical switches that cut its own cameras dead. Real prices, every link below. Let's get into it. There is a whole world of invisible signals moving through the room you are sitting in. Wi-Fi, key fobs, baby monitors, things you never agreed to. And this 4-inch screen draws every one of them as a jagged mountain range you can actually read. The tiny SA Ultra is a handheld spectrum analyzer, the kind of instrument that used to cost thousands and live bolted to a lab bench. It sweeps from 100 kHz all the way to 5.4 GHz, so it will happily show you the exact frequency a hidden transmitter is shouting on. Engineers use it to chase down interference. The curious use it to see what is really in the air around them. It runs $186, and the unsettling part is how ordinary something that turns the invisible visible looks sitting in a jacket pocket. Most flashlights are built to help you see in the dark. This one is built to set the dark on fire. The Flash Torch Mini forces 2200 lumens through a reflector so tight and so hot that the beam will light a match, scorch paper, melt plastic, and cook a marshmallow from a couple of inches away. It is about the size of a soda can, it charges off a swappable pack, and the company ships it with a printed warning to never point it at skin or anything you would rather not burn. Is it a flashlight or a fire starter? Honestly, it is both, and that blurry answer is exactly why it sells openly on the maker's own site instead of a big retailer's shelf. Call it $100 for a torch that moonlights as a blowtorch, completely legal to own, and living on borrowed time the day enough people realize a pocket light can actually start a fire. Canned air is a small scam you pay for again and again. The can freezes your fingers, dies in a week, and sends you back to the store. The Wolfbox Megaflow kills that whole cycle. It spins an electric turbine to 110,000 RPM and throws a steady hurricane of air on tap, essentially forever, off a fast-charging battery. It clears packed dust out of a keyboard, a camera body, a car vent, or the choked guts of a desktop, and it never needs refilling. Nothing about it is restricted, which is genuinely a relief on a list like this. You're looking at $32, and it might just be the most useful $30-odd in the entire video. How far away can you actually hear a conversation you were never meant to catch? Clip this on and the answer stretches a lot further than you would like. The Super Ear is a personal sound amplifier, marketed to birdwatchers and the hard of hearing, that pipes faint, distant audio straight into a pair of headphones and boosts quiet sound many times over. Point the little mic across a yard, a waiting room, or a restaurant patio, and voices that should be private suddenly are not. It sets you back $65, it is small enough to vanish in a palm, and the same feature that helps someone hear a warbler at 50 feet works just as well on the couple arguing 2 tables over. There is no flame in this lighter at all. Instead, it snaps a pair of electrodes together into a small, crackling arc of plasma, the same blue-white spark you would expect from a stun device, hot enough to light a candle or a campfire in a stiff wind that would kill any normal flame. It charges over USB, it is windproof and splashproof, and there is nothing to run out of. For $20, it is a genuinely clever little object, and it lands here for the simplest reason. A rechargeable arc that throws visible electricity makes people at a security checkpoint distinctly uneasy, even though it is only ever meant to light a grill. Walk up to a locked office door, tap a card against the reader, and the light turns green, except the card in your hand started out blank. The Chameleon Ultra is a card-sized device that stores and replays the RFID and NFC credentials used by a huge share of building badges, apartment fobs, and gym entries. Security researchers built it to test exactly how weak those old 125 kHz systems are. And the answer is very. It holds several identities at once and switches between them at a button press. It goes for $40. It is completely legal to own and study with. What turns it from a research tool into a problem is whose door you decide to point it at. Ever wonder how a wildlife filmmaker records a single bird from the far side of a field? Or how the sideline mic on a football broadcast catches a quarterback snap count? A parabolic dish. And you can buy the same trick for $64. This one focuses distant sound onto one microphone with roughly 8 times magnification and a usable reach past 300 feet, feeding it into headphones and a recorder. Aimed at nature, it is pure magic. Aimed anywhere else, it is a long-range ear that does not care whether the sound it is gathering was meant for you, and that is the quiet reason a gadget this innocent keeps turning up on lists like this one. A laser pointer is a harmless meeting toy. This is not a laser pointer. The Sanwu Challenger is a handheld burning laser built to actually deliver its power at the far end of the beam, enough to pop a balloon, light a match, and leave a scorch mark on wood from across a room. The maker builds them to order at different power levels and ships them with goggles, because even looking at the dot on a wall is genuinely dangerous. It runs about $250 depending on how much punch you ask for. It is legal to own as a curiosity, and it lives permanently one careless second away from being pointed at something. A windshield, a window, a night sky with a plane in it, that turns a science toy into a federal problem. Rolled up, it is a coil of chain that disappears into a jacket pocket. Unrolled, it is 36 inches of 16-tooth chainsaw chain with a nylon handle on each end. You loop it over a branch, pull hand over hand, and it bites clean through a thick limb in under a minute using nothing but your arms, no fuel, no motor, no noise. Campers and overlanders keep one because it does the work of a bulky bow saw and weighs almost nothing folded. At $20, it is one of the most genuinely useful things here, and it earns its spot for a simple reason. A flexible steel saw that vanishes into a coat is an alarming object to calmly explain at an airport checkpoint. 500,000 BTU. That is the number stamped on this torch, and it is not a typo. The Flame King is a propane weed burner on a 10-foot hose that throws a roaring jet of flame meant to clear brush, melt ice off a driveway, or burn weeds out of a gravel path down to nothing. People also, predictably, use it to start bonfires and sear a steak in about 4 seconds. Right now, it is $58, marked down from $75, one of the real bargains in the video. It is entirely legal and sold as a garden tool. It just happens to be a garden tool that produces a 2-foot tongue of fire on demand. Picture the neighbor's dog that starts at 6 in the morning and never fully stops. This is the quiet, slightly petty answer. It looks like an innocent little birdhouse you hang on the fence, but inside sits a microphone and a speaker. The moment it hears barking, it answers with an ultrasonic tone. Dogs hate and human ears cannot detect at all. Hang it near the property line and it goes to work on its own. From up to a quarter acre away, no awkward conversation over the fence required. It costs $30, and the sneaky genius is that it trains your own barking dog exactly as well as the one next door, which is precisely what keeps it selling. Most radios are built to do one thing: catch one band, speak one language. This one does nearly all of them. The HackRF One is a software-defined radio that can both listen to and transmit across a staggering range, from 1 MHz to 6 GHz, which covers everything from AM stations and aircraft chatter up through Wi-Fi, key fobs, and satellite links. Plug it into a laptop and the screen becomes a window onto the entire radio spectrum around you, and with the right software, it can replay a signal it just heard. This is the tool security researchers use to prove that a garage remote, a car fob, or a wireless doorbell can be captured and understood. It is completely legal to own and is sold openly for research and education. It runs $320, and the reason it makes a banned-feeling list is that a single small board in the wrong hands quietly erases the assumption that anything broadcasting over the air is private. This is pepper spray turned up to a strength the law often refuses to let you carry against another person. Guard Alaska packs the maximum concentration the EPA will register into a fat canister that throws a wide fog out to around 20 feet, built to turn a charging grizzly mid-stride. That brute power is exactly why plenty of towns quietly forbid carrying it on a downtown sidewalk. A formula engineered to stop a 900-pound bear is far more than a court believes anyone needs. Hikers clip a can to a pack for $22 without a second thought. Carry that same can into the wrong city though, and you may be breaking a self-defense law you never even knew existed. Here is the first one I promised at the top. What if an entire Linux computer, keyboard, screen, camera, the works, folded down to the size of a credit card you could run off a pocket battery? That is the Cardputer Zero, and right now you cannot quite buy it. It ran on Kickstarter and is taking reservations. Built on a Raspberry Pi module with a 46-key keyboard, a little color display, and an infrared transmitter its makers cheerfully describe as being for coding, hacking, and creating. It is aimed squarely at the tinkerer who wants a pocket Linux lab that can talk to almost anything with a chip in it. Reserved, it comes in around $89, and it is the clearest sign yet that tools that used to fill a backpack now fit in a wallet. A Slingshot sounds like a children's toy right up until you draw one of these back against your own forearm. The wrist rocket braces solidly against your arm for leverage and fires steel balls with enough force to hunt small game and punch clean through a soda can at a real distance. It is quiet, it is deadly accurate with a little practice, and it costs almost nothing to feed. That mix, silent, cheap, powerful, is why a few states and cities treat it as an actual weapon, where simply owning one breaks the law. It sells for around $42, and it is the clearest proof here that a thing being old and simple has never once stopped it from getting banned. A $60 USB stick can hear things you would assume were locked away. Started life as a cheap TV tuner until people realized the chip inside would tune almost anything, and now it is the entry drug of the entire radio hacking hobby. Plug this V4 kit into a laptop and you can listen to aircraft calling the tower overhead, pull weather images straight off passing satellites, decode old pager traffic, and watch the local airwaves scroll past in real time. It is sold as a hobby receiver and it is perfectly legal to listen with. The uncomfortable lesson it teaches, for the price of a pizza night, is how much of the sky is talking out loud, in the clear, for anyone who bothers to plug in and tune. Whose voice is that on the other end of the line? With this in someone's hand, you genuinely cannot be sure. The handheld voice changer is a little battery-powered box with a mic and a set of effects that shift a voice up, down, or sideways in real time, deeper, younger, unrecognizable. It is sold for streaming and gaming pranks, and at $19 it is priced like a party toy. But a device built to make a person sound like someone they are not has some obvious second uses, and those are the ones that occasionally land it in a story that has nothing to do with gaming. Harmless fun, or a disguise you can hold in one hand, it depends entirely on who picks it up. And here's the other one from the intro. Nearly every tablet you can buy asks you to trust that the microphone is off when the little icon says it is off. The Brax OpenSlate refuses to ask for that trust. It is a privacy-focused Linux and de-Googled Android tablet with real, physical switches along the edge that mechanically cut power to the cameras, the microphone, the GPS, and every radio, an actual air gap you can feel, click, not a software toggle you have to believe. It funded on Indiegogo for well past $1 million and is due to ship later this year, so like the Cardputer Zero, you cannot simply add it to a cart yet. The base model reserves at $469. In a world where the quiet assumption is that your own devices are listening, a tablet whose answer is a hardware switch you control feels almost radical, which is exactly why it belongs here. A bright flashlight helps you see. A 1000 lumen flashlight with a hard strobe mode is built to make sure nobody else can. The Peak Plus throws a wall of white light far down a trail, zooms to a tight hotspot, and then, with a click, fires a disorienting strobe that is genuinely hard to look toward. Campers use the beam, plenty of people carry it for the strobe. At $18, with 16,000 reviews behind it, it is almost absurdly cheap for the amount of light it puts out. It is completely legal everywhere, and it sits on this list as a reminder that raw brightness, pointed the right way, is its own kind of tool. Silent, ancient, and still quietly effective, the Blowgun is one of those things the law has never fully known what to do with. Cold Steel's professional model is a full 4-foot barrel in a heavy caliber, thick-walled and weighted, launching darts noticeably faster and harder than any toy and staying accurate out past 20 yards with practice. It makes almost no sound at all, and that silence is both its whole appeal and its whole problem in a regulator's eyes. It is priced at just $40. It is legal to own across most of the country, and specifically outlawed in a handful of states that looked at a silent dart launcher sold by mail and decided that particular combination was a step too far. This one is the size of a chunky wristwatch, and it is a fully programmable computer with a screen, a battery, a motion sensor, and an infrared blaster packed inside. The M5 Stick C+2 is sold to engineers and students as a tidy little development kit, and in the maker world, it has quietly become the pocket canvas people load with all sorts of clever boundary testing tricks, because anything with an infrared transmitter and open code can learn to speak to a lot of the devices around it. It goes for $30, it clips onto anything, and it is a neat example of how the line between a harmless learning toy and a genuine tool is now mostly just which software someone flashes onto it. How does a $13 toy become a federal felony in a single careless second? Point it upward. This green astronomy laser throws a tight, blinding line that appears to touch the stars, the same beam a guide uses to trace constellations for a crowd, visible for what looks like a mile in a dark sky. Aimed at the night, it is genuinely beautiful. Aimed anywhere near an aircraft, it is a federal crime. People are arrested and charged for every single year. The laser itself costs almost nothing and does nothing dangerous on its own. 99% of the risk is not in the device, but in the split-second decision of where a hand chooses to point it. It looks like a harmless little adapter on the back of a computer, the sort of thing nobody bends down to question. Slide it between a USB keyboard and the tower, and the key grabber silently records every keystroke typed on that machine to its own internal memory, with no software installed and nothing for antivirus to notice. Later, you unplug it, pop it into any computer, and read back everything. IT departments use it to audit their own machines. The reason it feels forbidden is obvious the moment you imagine it on someone else's. It runs $60, it needs no permission and leaves no trace on the host, and it is a plain reminder to glance at the back of a shared computer now and then. Locksmiths and contractors buy these by the handful to level a cabinet or ease open a car when the keys are locked inside. You slide the deflated bag into a tight gap, squeeze the bulb, and it inflates with around 300 pounds of gentle, perfectly even force, spreading a door or window frame just enough to reach a tool through. That is a lifesaver when the locked car is your own in a dark parking lot. It is also, in the wrong hands, a nearly mark-free way into a door that was not yours to open, which is why a 5-pack for about $30 carries a reputation far heavier than its price. Ever locked your keys in the car and wished you had one? That is the whole legitimate market. Most pepper spray comes out as a fog, which means a gust of wind can hand it right back to you. This one comes out as a gel. Saber's keychain gel fires a sticky stream instead of a cloud, so it flies straighter, reaches farther, sticks to whatever it lands on, and does not blow back on the person holding it. It is legal across most of the country with a flip-top safety and a finger grip for aim, and it is only $16 on a keyring. The catch is the fine print. A handful of states cap the strength or restrict the formula. So the identical little canister is a thoughtful safety gift in one state and a technical violation a single border over. Tap it to the fob that opens your apartment's front door, and a second later it has copied it. The Keysy is a keyring-sized reader and writer that clones the common 125 kHz RFID fobs and cards used by a huge number of buildings, gates, and gyms, storing several at once, so one little device replaces a pocket full of them. It is sold as a convenience gadget, and honestly, as a convenience gadget, it is great. It costs $52. It also makes the same uncomfortable point the Chameleon did earlier from a different angle. The plastic fob guarding a great many front doors was never really a secret, and copying it takes about a second and no skill at all. Is someone behind you right now? These sunglasses will tell you without a single turn of your head. Tiny angled mirrors set into the inner edge of each lens let you watch everything happening directly behind you while looking straight ahead. They were first sold as a spy toy for kids, but the adults quietly buying them now want to know if they are being followed down a street or tailed through a parking garage. For $17, you get a completely silent, completely deniable way to keep an eye on your own back, and the part that gets them flagged is simple. The person behind you has no idea you can see every move they make. There is something about a full-face respirator that makes it look like it belongs in a very different kind of video than a gadget roundup. This one is genuinely practical. A sealed silicone mask with a wide clear visor and 4 replaceable cartridges that filter organic vapors and particulates. The sort of thing you actually want when you are spraying paint, stripping a floor, or sanding old lumber. It is $40, and it does exactly what it says. It lands here purely on looks. The same mask that protects a weekend refinisher is the image every prepper and every dystopian movie reaches for, which is why a plain safety tool reads as something far more ominous hanging on a hook. A single radio can tell you a signal exists. 5 radios, locked together and listening in perfect step, can tell you which direction it is coming from, and that is the whole idea behind the KrakenSDR. It is a 5-channel, coherent, software-defined radio built for radio direction finding. Pointed at the airwaves and with the antennas arranged right, it can work out the bearing to a transmitter and, on the move, triangulate roughly where that transmitter actually sits. Researchers and radio hobbyists use it to hunt down interference or run passive radar experiments. It is sold openly on Crowd Supply for around $550, and it feels like something off a government truck because, not long ago, that is exactly where the ability to chase a signal to its source used to live. And now, it ships in a box to anyone curious enough to plug it in. We finish on the gadget that looks like it fell out of a heist movie. A folding stainless steel grappling hook, 3 spring-loaded claws that snap open, rated to haul a serious load on a rope you throw over a wall, a beam, or a branch. It is sold to climbers, campers, and off-roaders for recovery and for retrieving gear dropped somewhere awkward, and for those jobs it works beautifully. It is $36. It also lands on exactly one kind of list, because a hook designed to get a person up and over something they could not otherwise reach carries an obvious second story, and that, more than anything it is actually built for, is why it feels like it should be harder to buy than it is. That is the whole list, and every single thing on it is legal to own and for sale right now. If you made it here, you already know the strange part. Not one gadget in this video is illegal to own, and half still feel like they should be. Tell us in the comments which one surprised you, and which one you would actually keep. Like the video if it earned it, subscribe to Bravo Gadgets for the next roundup, and we will see you in the next one.